My name is Eric, and welcome to my channel. This is D&D OC, D&D Original Character, and today we're covering my top 10 favorite spells in D&D 5th edition. At number 10, we have Spirit Guardians. Spirit Guardians is a 3rd level spell available primarily to clerics. It takes an action to cast and requires concentration, but it has a solid 10-minute duration, which means you can likely have it up before a combat breaks out. With this spell, spirits float around you in a 15-foot radius. The spirits can either be celestial, fey, or fiendish in appearance. This spell has a couple of great things going for it. For one, you can designate any number of creatures to not be affected by the spell, so all of your allies are safe. Additionally, any target affected by the spell has their speed cut in half while in the area. Lastly, creatures affected must make a wisdom saving throw, taking 3d8 radiant or necrotic damage on a failed save and half on a success. This spell provides both defense and offense, which is somewhat of a theme for my top 10. In particular, this is a great option for melee spellcasters like a melee cleric, Oath of Crown paladin, or a swords bard using magical secrets. At number 9, we have Ashardalon Stride. This spell is a relatively new spell from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. It is a 3rd level transmutation spell, which requires concentration for a minute, but has a fantastic casting time of a bonus action. For the duration, your speed increases by 20 feet, movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks, and when you move within 5 feet of an enemy, you torch them for 1d6 fire damage. I just imagine revving your foot on the ground to create a spark, which ignites the spell. I think this is a great option for a Gish who wants to get in close, but then get out without being destroyed by the enemy. This spell was used to great effect by Colby over at D4 Deep Dive on his Scribes Wizard Tempest Cleric build that I highly encourage you to check out. It's a really cool concept, and he goes to great lengths to optimize my number 9 pick, Ashardalon Stride. As I mentioned earlier with Spirit Guardians, I love spells that provide both defense and offense. My number 8 pick accomplishes this perfectly with Armor of Agathys. Most notably available to Warlocks, my favorite class in the game, Armor of Agathys is a 1st level spell, 1 action cast with an impressive 1 hour duration. At level 1, Armor of Agathys is nothing to write home about. This spell grants 5 temporary HP, and when a creature hits you with a melee attack, while the temp HP is active, the creature takes 5 cold damage. As most people have noted though, where the spell really shines is when you upcast Armor of Agathys. Not only does Armor of Agathys upcast provide an additional 5 temporary hit points for each level above 1st, but the damage also increases in parallel. So at 2nd level, we gain 10 temporary HP, and the spell does 10 cold damage when attacked in melee. 15 at 3rd, 20 at 4th, and so on. I think what people fail to realize about the scaling is that going from 5 temp HP to say 20 at a 4th level cast of this spell, it's not simply a 4 times multiplier, 5 times 4 equals 20, because the 20 temp HP is likely to last more than 1 hit from an opponent. Whereas the 5 temporary HP would typically be exhausted after 1 hit. So this means that you're likely dishing out that 20 cold damage twice, because that 20 temp HP is going to last for at least 2 hits. So that's 40 cold damage as opposed to 5 when casting at a 1st level. So that's an 8-fold increase. Plus the additional defense from the 20 HP makes the spell really fun if you have the available spell slots to cast it. In particular, my favorite way to utilize and optimize Armor of Agathys is with the Abjuration Wizard and a 1-level Hexblade dip. This gives us Arcane Ward HP that has to be depleted before the enemy starts chipping away at the Armor of Agathys temp HP. All the while the enemy is taking the straight cold damage without a save. Chris over at Treant Monk did a great build using this tactic called the Abjurer, and I highly recommend this build along with all of Chris's other videos. Moving on to number 7, we have Goodberry. Goodberry is a 1-action cast that produces 10 berries which last up to 24 hours. Each berry provides enough sustenance for the day and 1 HP per berry. Depending on how this spell is ruled at your game, Goodberry can be one of the most efficient and effective spells in the game. The reason for this is due to the yo-yo effect that can occur in 5th edition when an ally goes down and the party healer just pops the downed ally back up. The question with Goodberry becomes, can an ally who is unconscious still consume and digest a Goodberry if force-fed? What's more, can an agile and intelligent enough familiar deliver the berry to the downed ally, like the Chain Pack Warlock's Imp Familiar or the often used Wizard's Owl Familiar? Even if this is not allowed at your table, Goodberry is still an economical heal outside of combat and utterly broken for survival campaigns. It's basically Senzu beans in D&D. At number 6, we have arguably the coolest name for a spell in all of D&D, Bones of the Earth. Bones of the Earth is a 6th level druid spell which requires an action to cast with a range of 120 feet. When cast, 6 pillars of stone emerge from the ground that you choose within range. Each pillar is 5 feet wide with a height of 30 feet and an AC of 5 and 30 HP. Bones of the Earth has a few different uses. You can have the pillars lined up in a row to create a makeshift wall spell that does not require concentration. This works well since when a pillar is destroyed, it creates a 10-foot radius of difficult terrain. It's also useful for cover, or if you're in an area with 30 feet or lower ceilings, you can actually raise the pillars from below a creature and pin them to the ceiling. This deals 66 bludgeoning damage and restrains the monster. While I wish the pillars were wider than just 5 feet, this spell is still so unique and fun to unleash and a solid option for any druid once they reach 11th level. At number 5, we have Slow. While Hypnotic Pattern and Fear are a popular and powerful 3rd level spell options, Slow is my favorite control/debuff in the game and competes with both Hypnotic Pattern and Fear. Slow is a 1-action cast, 120-foot range that creates a 40-foot cube without the fear of friendly fire. Targets make a wisdom saving throw, and on a failure, they are hit with a litany of nasty debuffs. Their speed is halved, a -2 to AC and Dex saves. Enemies can't use their reactions. They can only use either an action or a bonus action. If they decide to use their action, they can only make 1 attack, so multi-attack is completely ruled out. And spells cast by an enemy are delayed by a turn if you roll an 11 or higher on a d20. Now, is all of this stronger than being completely incapacitated by a hypnotic pattern? Probably not, but you don't have to worry about friendly fire, and I love the theme of either slowing time or moving so quickly through time that it feels like time has slowed around you. Slow is a great way to support your party by debuffing your enemies without outshining your friendly melee party members. At number 4, teleportation is probably my favorite superpower in all of comics and anime, so I knew that out of all the teleportation spells in D&D, one of them had to make this list. For me, my choice is Dimension Door. Teleporting is a great defensive option to get you away from a deadly situation, especially if you can bring an ally with you, and Dimension Door allows for just this very thing. Dimension Door is an action cast, and you and another willing creature teleport up to 500 feet. Additionally, unlike Misty Step, you don't have to see your destination to teleport there. Simple and straightforward teleportation, and my 4th favorite spell in the game. I knew I wanted a blast spell on this list, and my favorite blast spell in the game is Chain Lightning. This 6th level evocation spell is available to sorcerers and wizards. A bolt of lightning launches toward a target within 150 feet. 3 bolts then leap from the target to up to 3 other targets within 30 feet of the first target. If these enemies fail on a dex save, they each take 10d8 lightning damage or half on a save. Obviously, the most optimal use of this spell is if you're able to target all 4 enemies for a potential total of 40d8 lightning damage. Lightning is by far My favorite elemental option in any game or anime or work of fiction in general. Chain Lightning is a decent damage blast for its level, but it's more importantly just really fun to deal lightning damage and light up a group of enemies. As I mentioned earlier, Warlock is my favorite class in the game, so it just makes sense that a Warlock exclusive spell would feature near the top of my top 10. Shadow of Moil is a 4th level Warlock spell which takes an action to cast and requires concentration and has a 1-minute duration. Flame-like shadows wreathe your body for the duration, making you heavily obscured to others. As such, similar to its greater invisibility cousin, Shadow of Moil grants the user advantage on attacks it makes and disadvantage on attacks made against it. Additionally, you have resistance to radiant damage, and a creature within 10 feet that hits you takes 2d8 necrotic damage. For whatever reason, Shadow of Moil seems so flavorful and easy to adjust based on the theme of your character. Have a fiend lock? Then the shadowy flames just make sense. But what about a Merid Genie Warlock? Well, have the flames be a mysterious and chilling blue. If you have a lightning-based character, why not make the flames appear like lightning surrounding your body? All that to say, I'm a huge fan of Shadow of Moil. And my number 1 favorite spell in all of D&D, Rope Trick. This humble spell is only 2nd level and requires an action to cast with a 1-hour duration. Unlike its name may suggest, Rope Trick actually creates a pocket dimension. You touch a length of rope that is up to 60 feet. Up to is important here, as you could keep a 60-foot rope with you, but you could also keep a 1-foot length of rope handy if you're in tighter quarters. One end of the rope rises into the air perpendicular to the ground. At the upper end of the rope, an invisible entrance opens to an extra dimensional space. This space can hold as many as 8 medium creatures. So you and your entire party climb the rope and have a safe place to take a short rest, as you can pull the rope up behind you into the space with you and disappear from view. Aside from taking a short rest here, you can hide in the space if an enemy is searching for you. You can save your entire party if a tidal wave is headed your way. You can protect a fragile ally on an escort mission when facing a boss fight. Or you can even just use this spell to climb up to a higher platform in case of an emergency or during an infiltration mission. And that's it. Those are my top 10 favorite spells in D&D 5e. Tell me your favorite spell in the comments below. Thanks for watching.